Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. I'm Dr. S.K. Singh, and I'm excited to talk to you about equipment qualification. Today, we'll explore what equipment qualification is, why it's important, and the key steps involved. So let's get started and take a quick look at what we'll cover in this session. So what does this all mean? Well, a quantitative approach is essential here. We need to gather measurable data to prove that the manufacturing process, whether for pharmaceuticals or biotechnological products, is of high quality, fully functional, and performing as it should. This isn't just about checking a box, it's about ensuring consistent, reliable results. This approach applies not only to individual pieces of equipment, but also to the entire manufacturing process as a whole. Think of it as a comprehensive way to validate every step and component involved. Now, guidelines for how to do this validation are set by the FDA. But, interestingly, the specific validation requirements, the standards and criteria, are actually determined by the pharmaceutical or biotech company itself. They have some flexibility within the FDA's framework to tailor the validation to their particular process. So, what exactly is validation? According to the FDA, it's about establishing documented evidence, proof that provides a high level of confidence that a specific process will reliably produce a product meeting its predetermined specifications and quality attributes. And this isn't just a good practice, it's a regulatory requirement. Validation is fundamental to good manufacturing practices, or GMP, and other regulatory standards we need to adhere to in this industry. It's what guarantees that our products are safe, effective, and consistently meet quality standards. Once we have documented, agreed upon, and received approval for the end-user requirements specification, it becomes what we call the URS Level 1 document. This document essentially serves as the foundation for the project. From there, our engineers or vendors can start the preliminary design process. The goal here is to determine exactly what functions are needed for each item listed in the user requirements. Once these functionalities are clearly defined and approved, they form what's known as the URS Level 2 document. Think of this as the next detailed step, refining the initial requirements into a more specific set of functions. It's important to note that this is the final level of the URS, unless software is involved, which can sometimes require additional specifications. Now, let's focus on what makes the User Requirements Specification, or URS, so critical. It's arguably the most important document in the process because it guides the entire project. Whether we're dealing with a purely mechanical system, a mix of electromechanical components, or a software-based solution, the success of our qualification activities, like installation, operational, and performance qualification, hinges on having a well-prepared URS. In fact, the entire validation process depends heavily on whether the URS contains clear, concise, and testable requirements. If these are poorly written or ambiguous, it can lead to issues down the line, including delays, rework, or even system failures. So, investing time upfront to develop a good URS is absolutely essential for a smooth validation and qualification process. Developing the User Requirements Specification, or URS, to this level is actually quite unique in most industries. However, in strictly regulated sectors like pharmaceuticals, it's considered standard practice. This rigorous approach is really a cornerstone in creating high-quality, compliant software. Specifically, the URS Level 3 document includes all the traceability that's considered mandatory when the software is critical to product quality. This level of detail ensures that every requirement can be traced back and verified, which is essential in regulated environments. Now, when we move to software development, the process is quite interconnected. Once we have the URS Level 2 document ready, it's passed along to the code writers. As they start coding, each line or groups of lines must be clearly attributed to the specific functions they serve. This attribution process is crucial because it links the actual code back to the original requirements. When all these lines are properly attributed, it effectively completes the URS Level 3 document. So, in essence, The URS isn't just a static document. It's a living, traceable blueprint that guides the entire software development process, ensuring compliance and quality at every step. When developing the User Requirements Specification, or URS, it's important to remember that it can contain a large number of requirements. Because of this, the structure should allow for easy access to information, making it straightforward to find what you need quickly. Additionally, the requirement specification must be formally reviewed and approved by the pharmaceutical manufacturer. This step ensures that all requirements are accurate, feasible, and aligned with regulatory standards. Now, during the production of the URS, there are some key guidelines to keep in mind. First, each requirement statement should have a unique reference, and it should be concise, no longer than 250 words. This helps keep the document clear and manageable. Second, avoid duplication and contradictions within the requirements. Every statement should be clear and consistent, so there's no confusion later on. Third, remember that the URS should focus on expressing the requirements, not the solutions or designs. It's about what is needed, not how to build it. Fourth, each requirement must be testable, meaning you should be able to verify if it has been met. Fifth, the language used should be understandable by both the user and the supplier. Avoid ambiguity and jargon that could cause misunderstandings. Sixth, diagrams can be very helpful to illustrate complex requirements clearly. Seventh, aim to minimize any room for assumptions or misinterpretations. The clearer the URS, the smoother the project will go. Finally, where possible, distinguish between mandatory or regulatory requirements and features that are desirable but not essential. This helps prioritize efforts and ensures compliance with necessary standards. Overall, a well-structured URS is crucial for successful project execution and regulatory approval. Now, let's take a closer look at the key aspects covered in a User Requirements Specification, or URS, for a GMP computer control system. First, it outlines the scope of the system supply, which defines exactly what is being provided and sets clear boundaries for the project. This is crucial for aligning expectations from the start. Next, we have the project objectives, where we specify what the system needs to achieve to meet regulatory and operational goals. Speaking of regulations, regulatory requirements are also addressed here, ensuring compliance with industry standards and guidelines. The process overview gives us a high-level understanding of how the system fits into the overall manufacturing process. Related to that are system boundaries, which clarify what is included and excluded from the scope, and operational considerations, which focus on how the system will function in day-to-day operations. We also need to specify manufacturing design data and instrument application data, which are essential for ensuring the system integrates properly with existing equipment and processes. Data records are another key point, emphasizing the importance of accurate documentation for traceability and quality control. The system functions, software, hardware, and peripherals are detailed to make sure the entire technical ecosystem is well-defined. It's important to specify the format of the URS itself, making it clear and structured for all stakeholders. Throughout this process, every element, from system interfaces and environmental conditions to access security, diagnostics, safety, and ongoing support, is carefully considered to ensure a reliable, compliant, and efficient system. By thoroughly addressing these points, we set a strong foundation for successful system development, deployment, and ongoing operation within the strict regulatory environment of GMP manufacturing. Now, when we look at newly sanctioned systems, it's essential to understand that they will require compliance with specific regulations, particularly those related to GMP electronic records and electronic signatures. This means that the functionality we define must include these regulatory requirements, ensuring everything is properly documented and compliant from the start. Moving on, the User Requirement Specification, or URS, plays a critical role in our design process. It serves as the foundation for the presentation format of the Functional Design Specification, or FDS, as well as the hardware and software design specs. This structure helps us keep the design decisions traceable back to the original source requirements, making the entire process auditable and transparent. Once we've thoroughly reviewed and internally approved the URS, the next step is to share it with potential suppliers as part of our tender documents. This allows us to solicit detailed quotations, ensuring that the bids we receive are based on a clear understanding of our specific needs and expectations. The URS offers several key benefits for our validation program. First, it clarifies all technical, quality, and documentation requirements for the vendors, which helps set clear expectations up front. Second, it enables us to assess whether the submitted bids meet our technical, regulatory, and commercial standards, providing a structured way to compare options. Third, it establishes a systematic approach to presenting information, which streamlines our review process. Fourth, the URS provides a solid basis for defining testing and acceptance criteria, so we know exactly what to verify during validation. And finally, it creates a baseline for validation and verification activities, ensuring consistency and traceability throughout the project. In terms of format, the URS should be clear, organized, and aligned with our overall project goals, serving as a comprehensive reference point for both design and validation. This structured approach ultimately helps us ensure that our systems are compliant, reliable, and fit for purpose. Let's start by emphasizing that requirements related to product safety, identity, strength, purity, and quality must be comprehensive. Every single requirement that could impact these attributes needs to be clearly identified. This is why quality assurance, or QA, plays a crucial role here. QA must review and approve the final set of requirements, and also act as an approver for any changes that might affect these critical product or process attributes, especially in relation to current good manufacturing practices, or CGMPs. Now, once we have a comprehensive user requirements specification, which has been approved by QA and is under proper change management, the design qualification process can be streamlined. It mainly focuses on two key objectives. First, we need documented verification that the overall design addresses each requirement in some way, whether it's about the product itself or the performance of the manufacturing process. In the case of unknown products or multi-product facilities, this also includes the performance capabilities of the equipment and systems involved. Second, it's essential to identify and document the critical physical components, attributes, and operational features that directly support meeting each of those requirements. This approach ensures that our design is aligned with what's needed for safety, quality, and performance, and it provides a clear record of how each requirement is being met through specific components and features. Now, let's take a closer look at the phases of validation. Validation is a critical process, and it's typically broken down into 5 main phases that help ensure everything is functioning as intended. First, we have design qualification, or DQ, which is all about making sure the design of the equipment or system meets the specified requirements before we move forward. Next is installation qualification, IQ, where we verify that the equipment has been installed correctly according to the approved design and specifications. Then we come to operational qualification, OQ, which tests whether the system performs properly under normal operating conditions. This step confirms that everything operates within the defined parameters. Following that is performance qualification, PQ, where we validate that the system consistently performs its intended function in a real-world setting. Lastly, we have maintenance qualification, MQ, which ensures that ongoing maintenance procedures keep the system in a validated state over time. And don't forget about component qualification, CQ, which focuses on validating individual parts or components to ensure they meet necessary quality standards. Understanding these phases helps us see the bigger picture of how validation ensures quality, safety, and compliance throughout the life cycle of a system or equipment. They're interconnected steps, each building on the previous one, to give us confidence that our processes are robust and reliable. Let's take a closer look at the timelines of validation. Here, we see how the validation process is structured over time. It's important to understand that validation isn't just a one-time event. It's an ongoing journey that ensures our processes remain reliable and compliant. The timeline typically starts with initial qualification stages, where we establish baseline performance. Then, we move into ongoing monitoring and revalidation phases, which help us catch any deviations early and make necessary adjustments. By mapping out these timelines, we can better plan our validation activities and ensure continuous quality assurance. This is crucial because it connects directly to our overall goal of maintaining high standards and delivering consistent results. So, understanding these timelines helps us stay proactive and aligned with industry best practices. When we talk about validation, we're referring to the entire life cycle of a product, from the initial development stages all the way through use and ongoing maintenance. It's a comprehensive process that ensures every aspect of the product's life is monitored and controlled. Owners of the process are responsible for validating their processes, which includes personnel, equipment, methods, and standard operating procedures. The goal here is to make sure everything stays compliant with CGMP and GLP regulations, so that quality and safety are maintained throughout. Now, within the validation framework, there's a key component called qualification. This involves inspection, functional testing, and review of documentation. Qualification is basically a way to verify that modules and systems are performing their intended functions correctly before they go online. And it's not just a one-time check. It continues according to a set standard operating procedure. It's important to understand the difference between validation and qualification. Validation is the broader lifecycle process. It's about ensuring the entire system or product is compliant and performs reliably over time. Qualification, on the other hand, is a specific part of validation that focuses on testing and verifying that individual modules or systems meet the required performance criteria before they're fully integrated or operational. Connecting these concepts to the bigger picture, both validation and qualification are essential for ensuring regulatory compliance, product quality, and ultimately, patient safety. Let's now turn our attention to the management of qualification. This is a crucial aspect because it ensures that the personnel involved are properly prepared and capable of performing their roles effectively. When we talk about managing qualification, we're really focusing on establishing clear standards and maintaining ongoing assessments to verify competence. It's not just about getting qualified once, but about continuous oversight to keep skills sharp and up to date. This involves implementing robust training programs, regular evaluations, and documentation processes. By doing so, we make sure that everyone involved meets the required criteria to maintain safety, quality, and compliance standards. Ultimately, effective management of qualification supports the overall integrity of the project or operation, reinforcing trust and accountability across the board. This ties directly into our broader goal of ensuring excellence and safety in everything we do. Now, let's talk about equipment qualification, which is a fundamental aspect of good analytical chemistry. It's essential that balances and other analytical instruments are suitable for their intended purpose and properly calibrated. This ensures the accuracy and reliability of our results. As a result, equipment qualification is becoming increasingly important in validating those results. Regulatory agencies are paying more attention to this area, and manufacturers are now playing a bigger role in each step of the qualification process. There are 5 key steps in equipment qualification. The first is design qualification, or DQ, where we define the functional and operational specifications of the instrument or balance. Next is installation qualification, IQ, which confirms that the equipment is received as designed and specified, and it's correctly installed in the intended environment. The third step is operational qualification, OQ, demonstrating that the instrument functions properly according to its specifications within that environment. Following that is performance qualification, PQ, which shows that the instrument consistently performs to the expected standards for routine use. And finally, maintenance qualification, MQ, involves documenting any maintenance activities needed to keep the equipment in optimal condition. Together, these steps build a comprehensive framework to ensure our equipment is suitable, reliable, and capable of producing valid results, aligning perfectly with our overall goal of maintaining high-quality analytical practices. Let's talk about design qualification, or DQ for short. This is the process where we complete and document design reviews to show that all quality aspects have been thoroughly considered right from the start. The main goal here is to ensure that all the requirements for the final system are clearly defined early on, preventing any surprises later in the project. Design qualification isn't just about checking boxes. It's about establishing the functional and operational specifications of the instrument. It also involves making conscious decisions, particularly when selecting suppliers, to make sure that every component aligns with our needs. Most importantly, DQ helps us confirm that the instruments we choose have all the necessary functions and performance criteria. This way, we're setting ourselves up for success by making sure these instruments can be effectively implemented for their intended applications and will meet user requirements. So, in essence, DQ acts as a foundation, clarifying what we need, how it should perform, and ensuring every decision supports the overall quality and success of the project. Let's now look at the key steps involved in design qualification. First, it's essential to clearly understand and describe the analysis problem we're trying to solve. This sets the foundation for everything that follows. Next, we need to define the intended use for the equipment, which helps ensure the design aligns with its purpose. It's also important to describe the environment in which the equipment will operate. Environmental conditions can significantly impact performance and safety. Then, we move on to the preliminary selection of the functional and performance specifications. This includes technical, environmental, and safety requirements. These specifications guide our design choices. At this stage, we also start considering potential suppliers, beginning with an initial selection based on capabilities and fit. Once we've narrowed down our options, we make the final selection of the supplier and equipment, ensuring it meets our defined needs. Finally, developing and documenting the final functional and operational specifications is crucial. This documentation ensures everyone is aligned and provides a clear basis for validation and future reference. These steps are interconnected and essential for ensuring that the equipment is fit for purpose, safe, and compliant, all part of a systematic approach to quality and reliability. Let's talk about vendor qualification within the design qualification process. The key question here is, how do we properly qualify a vendor? Is having an established and documented quality system, like ISO 9001, enough? Or should we consider conducting a direct audit? The reality is that there are situations where a vendor audit might be recommended. For example, when developing complex computer systems tailored for a specific user. But in most cases, especially for balances and analytical instruments, this isn't usually necessary. If the equipment doesn't involve a computer system, then having a good reputation, your own previous experience, or strong references from other users can often suffice. And of course, holding ISO 9001 certification adds a significant level of confidence. Ultimately, the goal is to ensure the vendor can reliably meet our quality expectations. But the level of qualification can vary depending on the complexity and criticality of the equipment involved. Installation qualification, or IQ, is all about verifying that the equipment and components are installed correctly according to the approved specifications. It's about making sure everything is in the right place and properly set up. This process also involves checking how we record this information, so we have a clear record of the installation. The main goal here is to confirm that all aspects, especially the static attributes of the facility or equipment, are installed properly and meet the original design requirements. It's crucial because proper installation is the foundation for reliable operation. During IQ, we identify each instrumentation component and cross-check it against the manufacturer's listing. This ensures that everything used is the right part and properly documented. Additionally, we document and check the working environment conditions, like temperature, humidity, or any other factors, to make sure they are suitable for the instrument's proper functioning. By thoroughly verifying these elements, we lay the groundwork for a smooth and compliant operation, which ties back to the overall goal of ensuring quality and regulatory compliance in our processes. Let's talk about installation qualification. Essentially, this step makes sure that the instrument is received exactly as it was designed and specified. It also confirms that it's properly installed in the right environment and that this environment is suitable for its operation and use. Now, before you even start the installation process, there are a few important things to do. First, always get the manufacturer's recommendations for the installation site. These guidelines are tailored to the specific equipment and help ensure optimal performance. Next, you want to check the site itself. Make sure it meets all those recommendations. Utilities are crucial, so verify the availability of electricity, water, gases, and any other utilities the instrument needs. Environmental conditions matter too, things like humidity, temperature, vibration levels, and even dust. These factors can affect how well the instrument performs and lasts over time. Additionally, it's smart to allow enough shelf space. This space isn't just for the equipment itself, but also for related SOPs, operating manuals, logbooks, and any software you might need. All these steps help set the stage for a successful installation. Remember, a proper installation isn't just about the equipment, but also about creating the right environment for reliable, consistent operation. That's the essence of installation qualification. Operational qualification, or OQ, is really about testing to make sure that both individual systems and their combined functions are working properly. It's not just about turning things on. It's about verifying that they meet the agreed-upon performance criteria. This process also involves checking how we record the test results, ensuring everything is properly documented. The main goal here is to confirm that all the dynamic attributes of the equipment are in line with the original design specifications. When we perform OQ, we check each function of the instrument to see if it conforms to the manufacturer's specifications. This is crucial because it guarantees the equipment functions as intended. To do this accurately, we use certified, traceable electrical simulators and standards. These tools help us verify that the equipment is processing input signals correctly, which is key to maintaining quality and reliability in the process. Overall, OQ is about making sure that the equipment not only works, but works correctly under real-world conditions, aligning with our overall goal of quality assurance in our operations. Performance qualification, or PQ, is also known as process qualification. It's the process where we test to make sure that both individual systems and their combined operation consistently meet the performance criteria we've agreed upon. Essentially, we want to verify that the systems perform reliably over time and that the test results are properly recorded. The main goal here is to confirm that the specified criteria can be achieved consistently and reliably, not just once, but over an extended period. When we talk about equipment performance in routine analytical use, we need to check that everything still complies with its specifications. For example, we compare temperature sensor readings with a certified reference thermometer to ensure accuracy. Similarly, after calibration, we compare conductivity sensor readings using certified, traceable control standards. This process is critical because it helps us maintain quality and confidence in our testing methods. It ensures that our equipment remains reliable and that the results we get are valid, supporting the overall integrity of our analytical work. When it comes to performance qualification, or PQ, it's important to remember that we need to use control standards of similar values to the test samples we're analyzing. This ensures that our results are meaningful and reliable. PQ is all about demonstrating that our instrument consistently performs according to the specifications that match its routine use. And by consistently, I mean it should perform reliably every time under typical working conditions. One key point to highlight is that the test frequency for PQ is much higher than for OQ, or operational qualification. This makes sense because routine performance needs to be monitored more closely. Also, it's crucial that PQ is performed under conditions similar to those during actual sample analysis. This way, we're testing in a realistic environment, making our results more applicable to everyday use. In terms of timing, PQ should ideally be done daily or at least weekly, or every time the instrument is used. The frequency depends not only on how stable the equipment is, but also on any other factors in the system that could influence analysis results. Now, to set up a good PQ, we need to define our performance criteria clearly and establish specific test procedures. It's also essential to select the critical parameters that directly impact the quality of our results. Finally, we need to define the test intervals, how often we check these parameters, to maintain confidence in our instrument's performance over time. Remember, the goal of PQ is to ensure ongoing reliability and consistency, so that we can trust the results our instruments produce in routine operations. Now, let's talk about the maintenance qualification, or MQ. This section is really the core of ensuring our equipment stays reliable and safe to use. It describes and documents any maintenance that the equipment needs over time. This includes routine servicing, which helps keep everything running smoothly, as well as any repairs that might be necessary if something goes wrong. Importantly, the MQ also records details of any maintenance contracts we have in place. This way, we know exactly who is authorized to perform maintenance and repairs on our equipment. Speaking of authorized personnel, the MQ includes a list of approved service engineers, ensuring that only trained professionals handle our equipment. Another key aspect covered here is routine cleaning, which is essential for maintaining equipment performance and preventing contamination. And of course, the MQ also details the procedures for the ultimate disposal of the equipment, making sure it's done safely and in compliance with regulations. Overall, this section ties into our broader goal of maintaining high standards for equipment management, safety, and compliance. It's about creating a clear, documented process that supports reliable operation throughout the equipment's life cycle. Component qualification, or CQ, is a relatively new term that was developed back in 2005. It refers to the process of manufacturing auxiliary components to make sure they meet the correct design criteria. Now, these components can include things like packaging materials, think folding cartons, shipping cases, labels, or even phase change materials. The key point here is that all of these components need to undergo some form of random inspection. This is crucial because it helps verify that the third-party manufacturer's process is consistently producing components that meet the strict standards required in the world of GMP, especially when it comes to drug or biologic manufacturing. So, in essence, CQ is about ensuring quality and consistency in all the auxiliary parts that play a vital role in the overall manufacturing process. Instrument validation isn't just a one-time event, it's an ongoing process. Confidence in the results from your instrument needs to be maintained throughout its entire working life. To do that, you should regularly repeat the validation process at set intervals. This helps ensure that the instrument continues to perform reliably and accurately over time. Now, it's important to understand the difference between installation validation and requalification. Installation validation is typically done when the instrument is first installed, whereas requalification is performed periodically afterward, and notably, it does not include the installation qualification step. Requalification should be done at least once a year, but for applications where test results have critical implications, like in regulated environments or high-stakes testing, it's wise to perform it more frequently. This way, you're continuously verifying that the instrument remains in its validated state and capable of delivering trustworthy results. Ultimately, Regular requalification is a key part of ensuring ongoing confidence in your analytical results and maintaining overall quality assurance. For further support, please don't hesitate to reach out. If you have any questions or need additional assistance, we're here to help. You can contact us through the provided details. And with that, I want to sincerely thank you for your time and attention today. It's been a pleasure sharing this information with you, and I look forward to connecting again. Thank you.